over to CPA yaseNgcoga. Therefore, if farmers, investors, they can go eNgcoga peacefully, no challenges, no hassles. So there's a stability eNgcoga, the environment is conducive for investors. So siyazicela they can go. The government has worked so hard in the CPA yaseNgcoga. And I can see up as the corridor, Sisulu corridor. So, thank you.
Mama nenkosi yendawo, we're not telling stories. Don't join us for the stories. We've got good policies, but we want to have it seen in the actual work. Esamithi ke nto zakuthi if you are doing a lot of talking without proving the fact, akusibalula. Okay? We've got the only in Eastern Cape, I don't know in other parts, the only cooperative that produces wine. Never. Yes. And for this is doable with the cooperatives. You can do business with primary cooperatives.
Thank you. Good day to you all. Program Director, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I greet you all this afternoon. My name is Mtutuzeli Mchiselwa from the Shiloh village in Whittlesea, in Enoch Nkijima local municipality, Eastern Cape. Mayime Primary Agricultural Cooperative is located near the town of Whittlesea, has successfully established a wine grape enterprise as well as dairy enterprise. This community project is a joint venture between the Mayime Primary Agricultural Co-op with a 55% shareholding and Farm Invest, which holds 45%. This community project forms part of the Chris Hani District Municipality and Chris Hani Development Agency's Social Development Program. The 395 members of the Mayime Cooperative who reside in many townships in and around and towns are forced to seek work in Queenstown due to lack of business in our area. Others often move thousands of kilometers to bigger cities like Cape Town and Johannesburg in search of greener pastures. Unemployment rate in our area is approximately 30%. The cooperative is continuously searching for opportunities to improve income generation activities of the cooperative and to create jobs for its members. In 2011, Mayime Co-op took control of their destiny and began to develop a dairy business. Their first step was to define their biggest challenges and developed solutions and goals to overcome these challenges. One of those solutions was the creation of a share milk trust. The wine grape enterprise was established in 2012 with planting of 5 hectares of grapes at Shiloh irrigation scheme. An additional 7 hectares of grapes was planted in 2015. The cultivars planted thus far are Pinotage, Chardonnay, Chenin Blanc, and Colombard. Mayime Winery was established in 2016. The winery now, because there's Mayime Cooperative, which is a division, is Mayime Winery Pty Limited, which is a subsidiary. Okay, fine. Through partnership with Farm Invest, the plan is to plant about 100 hectares within the plus minus 5 to 10 years. This partnership will also see the construction of a 100-ton winery at Shiloh irrigation scheme, aimed to create more jobs at winery and vineyard. An investment of 24 million is required to build a winery in the Mayime vineyard. Okay, fine, thank you. The grapes at present are processed in the Western Cape, which is in Ladysmith. The intention is to ensure that complete value chain, which leads to up and bottling of the labeling, and happens within the Mayime precinct. The first wine bottled was under the Inkosi level in 2016, which resulted in the first community wine ever produced in South Africa. This investment is potential to give birth to a more vibrant tourism industry in the area. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. But can I show them the bottles? Oh, it's done. Okay, good. Thank you.
Iyayiqwela. You know, in the Chwala terms, there's this thing, iyayiqwela. Nazi ke eza wines zethu bethusile selezisusile nizibonile, they are really a product of a grape planted here. And this is an opportunity for investors for processing. So the place called Chris Hani is a place for investment, a real destination. Without much delay, sizawuyenza wine tasting on the evening of the summit. We'll do the wine tasting. That's the reason why we need to get people who are really on business, because we can't taste you the wine without being in real action. We can't give you that taste. Can I then request that we allow the mayor to say something about the main speaker, so that the videos and the sponsor will put them before the vote of thanks? Esbe. Okay, thank you. The mayor has made a directive, let me do it myself, that he wants to brag to you that in his space there is the support of provincial government. And we'll request Dr. Bese to come in and say something.
Greetings to our national minister, the executive mayor of Chris Hani, the leadership, the entire leadership, both politically and academically. For the sake of time, I've just been told that the time is running against us. I'm here on behalf of the Eastern Cape Provincial Legislature as a chairperson for Dr. Da, Department of Rural Development and Agrarian Reform. Quickly, I just wanted to put up front that agriculture lesingayo apa is the basic economic activity in the world, not just here in South Africa. The activity that we're busy doing can assist as far as Africa Pearl, not only Chris Hani. Quickly, agriculture remains the Cinderella of the African development, though it is the bedrock for the most economies across Africa. We need to revolutionize agriculture, especially in Chris Hani. When you look to Chris Hani, we've got a serious problem of food security, food insecurity, of which food security is the national crisis. I'm here today to recommend strongly the support of the smallholder farmers, subsistence farmers, so that they can play a great role towards the growth of our industrial park that we're having in Chris Hani. Agro-processing, that we're keeping on talking about it, should be driven by its strong primary production. As acting CEO has already alluded, we've got very weak commodities that we're having on the ground. However, we need to engage our organized farming in order to make sure that they are playing a great role in terms of working very close with our commodities on the ground. Again, when you look to the situation of Chris Hani, we've got commercial farming, which is very strong, as well as communal farming, which is very strong. It's a question of putting them together, forming a dovetail going forward in terms of a partnership. Organized farming should also intervene on that aspect of bringing both white and black farmers together so that we can increase our production in this part of the world. As I indicated earlier on that Chris Hani has got diverse potential. You talk of livestock, dryland crop production, irrigation schemes. We've got the biggest irrigation schemes in the Southern Africa, here in Chris Hani, like Wangocha, Kamata, all those irrigation schemes. Last but not least, Chairperson, the issue which I want to raise here, which is very critical, we have got 3 value chains here. The first one is livestock. Chris Hani has got the largest number of livestock across the Eastern Cape. It's very important to put up front the statistics. Ingcobo is the first one in terms of small stock, in terms of the highest numbers. Number 2, value chain, horticulture. Talking of vegetables, fruit. In Kala, we can make investment of stone fruit in Kala. That is Sakisizwe. The third value chain is grains. There are many grains, as I indicated, that under dry land crop, we can make better farming. Under irrigation, we can make better farming. So we've got many issues that we can do in Chris Hani. But the last thing that we must take note of, working with Dr. Da, in partnership with Dr. Da, it would mean that we will have the best support in terms of the blended finance model, which Dr. Da has just started, whereby when you talk of a blended finance model, 70% grant, 30% loans, especially to our smallholder farmers and subsistence. If we can do that, I should think we can have better results. Last but not least, Honorable Chair, Eastern Cape has got good plans. People are saying across the country, talking best English in the Eastern Cape, but we're not implementing. It's a shame. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, honorable participants. Then, if it's a shame, Tina, we're bringing a shine. Can you change shine to Chris Hani shine? That is a shine we're giving that pledge, honorable member of parliament, Dr. Pese. Can we get a commitment from the IGR partners who have local government? We had all the speakers, we had the district mayor. I want to hear, are your municipalities ready? If you go to the local municipalities, yes, let's get the Honorable Mayor Zanga to say something.
Ungoyike khona andizojonga ecaleni. Good afternoon. I don't think good business breakfast. Funeka sithi xa sibulisa sithi good afternoon. But ke sesilapha. All protocols observed. Into esifuna uyitsho nje thina as locals, sihlobo zam. Is that as local municipalities were ready. Kodwa into esifuna uyibona thina into yoba butshintsho buso be-participation kwi-processing. Ukwenzela into yoba sizazi ezingxaki zethu uba ayo unemployment yodwa ne-inequality khona. So we need to change i-role players ukwenza basokwazi ukutsho sithi sihlala kwilizwe nyani in a non-racial society. So sifuna uba zithe zi-investors xa zisiza phaa, because you have got an informal business ne-formal business. Funeka xa ufika ke nale formal business ingabulali informal business. There must be a way you integrate informal business so that bazokwazi abantu bakuthi bonke bakwazi uxhamla ngale nto esinayo. So siredi ke ukuba kuzawufika kuthethwe ngolo hlobo. Asifuni ulima qha kuthiwe masiproduce umbona because siyalima kodwa nangona silima asilimi ngokwaneleyo. Kodwa lo siwulimayo umbona ulihlazo into yoba uphumele outside of the district. Because xa uphumela ngaphandle kwe-district uphuma ne-job opportunities. So as local municipalities we welcome le initiative eyenziwa yi-district development agents. Sifana naba bantu ke lamntana mncinci yabo kuyabanda namhlanje. Sawuphuma sinjalo apha. Kuyabanda ehleli esitulweni pha. Athi ndawufika umama epheke isuphu emandi yeRoyco efudumezayo. So sizawumka sinjalo apha. Sinamathemba kodwa sifuna uqinisekisa into yoba we're going to make it a point into yoba i-DDM kufuneka siyibone in action. So that because ezinto bezipresentwa zonke apha zifuna ufika infrastructure yethu i-right, zifuna ufika i-bylaws zethu zi-right ukwenzela into yoba investors zingathathi ixesha elide sijikeleza singazi into yoba ngophi umhlaba obekelwe for into yoba kuqhubeke into e-industries, ngophi umhlaba owe-manufacturing, ngophi umhlaba esiwushiyele for umcimbi owe-agro-processing. So ngenxeni yento yoba ke msuthukazi andifuni nam kuthiwe ndicontributile kwinto yoba i-business breakfast kude kwathiwa good afternoon. Enkosi kakhulu.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. I'm sure Chairperson, funeka si live stream amos yebo. Sibambe lanto. Andisibaka kuthina. So we've just talked to the sponsor. There is a sponsor for the day. We've got a good relationship. We've got the mix, SMEs, commercials, industry partners, government. But someone said it's a must. Let's plan and have this pre-breakfast session, and I'm taking care of it. And that is none other than AR boards, represented by Amos Chikonde, one of the industrialists in the park. We welcome. It's going to take a shorter time. See, we talk a lot now and again. There's no reason. Say yes, we have our own time to talk.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Program Director. All protocol observed. We are traders, so we'll go straight to action. I'm not going to talk much about AR boards. Most of you know us. We are situated at number 1 Bells Road, right next to Hani District Municipality. That's where we have our mega store, which arguably is the biggest hardware store in the province. And if you happen to be building or you get a tender to do construction, please come and knock on our door and we'll gladly help you and support you. With me, I brought some few prizes, Nyana, that we have. I'm a trader, so I sell. When I see people, I sell. So to make sure that you follow me, I think on your tables you saw there's a small thing that is there with a loyalty card inside. You can take that loyalty card and bring it to the store. You'll get some specials on that loyalty card. And with me here, I brought 10 bags of cement that I want to give away to 5 lucky attendees. So 2 bags each, you will redeem them at the store. Program Director, if you can join me to do the draw, quick draw. Thank you. Open.
lucky winner. The first lucky winner who's gonna get 2 bags of cement is Xoliseka Lali. Thank you, colleagues. The second lucky winner to get the 2 bags is Loiso S. Changela. I-winners must start so that Nanda Pagame quickly, Simone, simply clap. Yes, let's go to the third one. The third lucky winner who's going to get the 2 bags from Airports is Sicelo Ngoya. Unesikhalo soba ngamadoda awubhalwa ngamadoda apha kule box. The third one. It's the fourth one. The fourth one, the fourth lucky winner who's gonna get AfriSam from AR Boards, our sponsor for the day, is Mtutuzeli Mchiselwa. Thank you. The last lucky winner. The last, I don't know because the upper Kwalwanga agenda, and you can see. The last lucky winner to get 2 cement bags is Apwem Kangel. Let's give a round of applause to the sponsor and the winners. Uba inengxaki lento nodibana no-chairperson weboard achaze uba kandiyenze kanjani lento yezi-draw. Thank you. It was just a time to make a good fun and enjoyment, to change the mood. Thank you, Airports. It's not mine to give thanks to you. There's someone who's going to do that in the program. Now the program is no longer mine. Chairperson, the program is no longer mine. As I can see the stature of the person who's supposed to be coming. I'm expecting to be guided whether we should call the guest speaker or not. The executive mayor will come and tell the House whether the guest speaker is ready to talk. Can you give a round of applause to the executive mayor to confirm whether the guest speaker is ready? I don't know the arrangement. Maybe it's going to be introduced, or the guest speaker is already close by, whether it's already in the house, so it's up to them. Yeah. But what I've heard, and there's something that I know. Did you know that Chappie said it? Did you know? That Chappie said it, did you know? What I've heard and what I've heard and know, and what I know is that is the minister. Thank you.
Nkosi kakhulu, Program Director, ukonga amaxesha. The minister is ready. We had earlier referred to him, to her, and instead of spending much time introducing her, would rather we invite Honorable Minister Stella Ndabeni Abrams. She is currently the minister responsible for small business development. Now, this is a breakfast preceding the summit, and the intentions of the summit, part of what we want to do in the summit is to confirm sponsors or investments in our own district, but also sign off on the commitments that will then be made. However, that department in Krizani has in the last financial year already invested 20 million rands. Now, in the summit, we'll also, and we're having a discussion there to say, because we initially applied for a 30 million funding, which we got 20. So twister that 10 million, we still need it. And we're hoping when she comes here, she'll also talk to that as well. Honorable Minister, if you can come through.
Thank you so much. Let's sit down, please. Thank you. Thank you. If it's the respect. And let me take this opportunity in the afternoon of the breakfast briefing to greet all important people, of course, starting with the host who made it possible for us to be here, the mayor, or Councillor Gela, executive mayor, right? Okay, I know now there's differences in these things. All the mayors present here, the speakers and everybody from the local government sphere. I started with a host. Of course, I also recognize my comrade and brother in the Provincial Executive Council, Mr. Mvoko with his entire delegation, the officials from government in all spheres, most importantly, the people who make the wheel turn, the business sector. Hi, hustlers. How are you? I greet them, including those that are here as consumers of the products or services that are offered by the people in the space that we serve. Program Director, when we got this invite, we did not hesitate. I've heard other speakers mentioning that too, that we jumped at the opportunity because as the department, we've been saying lots of things, of course, echoing what President Ramaphosa and his party have been saying. I'm linking the two because many a times people forget that when we occupy these positions, we have a responsibility to carry out the mandate that we are given by the electorate. Now, as we come to government, irrespective of which slogan or T-shirt you wear, slogan that you chant, but the mandate that's given by the electorate becomes one, that of a governing party. This is why I'm saying all we are doing is to emphasize and echo on that call that has been made by the governing party when it made commitments via its manifesto. At the center of that is ensuring that we deal with a crisis that everybody has spoken about, unemployment, that is really dealing with lots of things and attacking every aspect of development that we're trying to address. Everyone gets concerned about the rate or the pace that our economy is growing on, whilst we appreciate the growth, but it means nothing if it's not a shared growth. We really do not want to see the repeat of what happened in KwaZulu-Natal and in Gauteng. We are happy that here with us are business people who not only look at profit, but also understand the importance of investing domestically or in the locals. The department that I'm currently responsible for forms part of what we call SAID, which is the Economic Sectors Investment, Employment and Infrastructure Cluster in the cabinet. This is where we sit and say, what is it that we have? What is it that we do not have? Where do we want to see our country going to? And what resources do we need? Who then gets to help us do that needs to be done? And we sit and then digest all aspects of the economy that we have in South Africa, and therefore be able to say, now that we've seen especially being hit or the effects of COVID-19, of the incidents of July 2021, because as much as we are seated here thinking that July 2021 did not affect you, but those that are in business know very well how it affected them. Now, this talks to the danger of an economy that is concentrated in few provinces. Because everything shrunk, we had to redirect funds from various programs in government and take them to KwaZulu-Natal. Because we needed to make sure that we re-engineer the economy, otherwise investors would leave us. So as I talk about that, Cabinet then comes up with an economic reconstruction and recovery plan. That's meant to say, we see the impact of COVID, we see the impact of the riots, but how do we make sure that we come up with a plan that's not only belonging to government, but a plan that must be owned by all components of the society? And of course, we're doing that, taking into consideration the country's structural weaknesses as we talk about the path towards recovery and reconstruction. Ours is to focus on building back better, greener and more digital, and of course, leaving no one behind. As I said, an economy that grows but does not give you a shared growth means nothing to the people who continue to vote and consume the products. If they continue to be excluded in the economy, then they will wake up, ban, loot, and rise against any other government, and that will scare the investors. We have therefore developed master plans as government of the different sectors that we have. And that process is led by Minister Patel, the minister responsible for trade, Trade, industry, and competition, DTIC. Now, in those master plans, you find out that we have, for example, the automotive master plan, the poultry master plan, amongst others. Now, ours as the Department of Small Business Development is to say, when they are saying they're looking at Isuzu investing here in terms of the cars themselves, ours is to say, where are the door handles gonna come from? Where are the radio buttons gonna come from? The carpets, all those smaller things. Therefore, we become a mini Patel, working with the same stakeholders in order to make sure that we address the imbalances and also occupy or unbundle the value and supply chain of those big industries. There is a tendency, colleagues, of big businesses refusing to open up their value and supply chains. Fortunately, through the engagements that we've had at NADLAC, when President Ramaphosa called for the review of the social compact, we all agreed with big businesses that there's a need to create jobs. And if you read the National Development Plan, it's very clear on how we must create those jobs. It says by 2030, South Africa must create 11 million jobs. And as things stand, we're at 13 million unemployed, 2022. We're not in 2030. NDP talks 2030 and envisages 11 million unemployed people. And out of that 11 million, the NDP further dictates that 9 million of those must come from small businesses. Now we're sitting here frustrated that we have a demand, we're doing everything great in the Crickly farm, dairy farm, 28 million produced liters, but there's demand. There are no jobs, people have to eat every day, employed or unemployed. When kids go to crèche, they all carry yogurt yabo encinci. Not gonna talk about cheese, it's for sophisticated people. Yogurt, the basic thing that every child, even if at home they rely on grants, but they get to eat it. But the question is, what is it that we're not doing right, Mayor? managers. What is it that we're not doing right? That as much as we all quote the National Development Plan of what it says we must do, a plan that we produced, but we're still talking about these high numbers of unemployment because we have failed to invest in small businesses. And that is something that we must all accept. Doesn't matter, again, which t-shirt you wear or which slogan you chant. Can be economic freedom right now and everything else that you say, but if it's rhetoric, it means nothing because we are here to make sure that our people get to benefit from the policies and the legislations that we make. There's no use of us having great policies, great this and that, if our people still go to bed hungry, if our people continue to be excluded in their economy. Therefore, we had to rethink how we do things. In the party or the NGO that I come from, we believe that although we have our plan and policy and objectives outlined in the year when the NGO was formed in 1912, but even to date, as we look into it without shying away from the basic values and principles that it stands for, there's a need to continuously review the strategy and tactics. Now, like any other 28-year-old, we are doing exactly that. To say every 5 years, we go back to the electorate, we make the commitments that we make because we're a governing party, we don't make promises. People who make promises are those that still aspire to be in government. As we make the commitments, but how do we then craft a clear strategy and develop tactics that must be responsive in ensuring that they make whatever that we brought to the manifesto a reality? Now, in order to address the unemployment issue and respond to the NDP, the first thing is to say, let's really look how our DFIs are functioning. But as we do that, we then identify a gap to say the way we function as government first before we go to the private sector, we are not talking to each other. We then agree that there's a need to therefore come up with one model that must talk to implementation of the commitments that we have made, the district development model. We have it in paper, but we still plan differently, right? You sit here and plan, you go to your IDP alone. My department goes to plan for its strategy, and then everyone else that is involved. That tells you that if we don't change and understand why we had to introduce the DDM, then we're not going to achieve anything. We'll go to 2030 with 20 million unemployed people. And this is something that we all agree as parties that it needs to change. We agree there's a need to create jobs. And if we all agree that there's a need to create jobs, it means we've got to have a mind shift. We've got to stop being territorial and selfish, that it is about me, it's my turf, you can't come to my space, and all the things that we do. And really think about what we need to do for our people. And this investment breakfast briefing is a step towards that. To say, as we talk about the alignment, right from the LED strategy that the municipality develops, how do we then come at provincial and national level to complement the work that is done at local level? But it becomes difficult and very difficult. If you come to an area and there's no sense of direction, including understanding of what are the economic growth drivers in that area, and a leadership that must have an appreciation of saying, yes, well and good, we have all this A, B, C, D, but what is the investment and a strategy that must make sure that we unleash that potential? This is why, again, as the governing party, when we went for the local government elections, we were clear. As many criticize our cadre development policy, we said there's a need to change focus. Yes, we are going to deploy ANC comrades because the electorate has given mandate to the ANC. But let's look at the candidates at mayoral level that will have the capability of understanding local economic development. If we do not pay attention to that, then we're going to miss it. As much as we've done that at mayoral level, there's more that needs to be done because it is not an individual function. We then have the MMCs responsible for economic development, special planning and development that are very critical in any municipality. And Mkaya, people think that the most important portfolio in local government is infrastructure because Batanda attend. People tend to think that you've got to be an MMC for finance. But the critical task at a local level is designing your special planning and looking at the local economic development strategy, because you are able to pull everyone on board to say, if we have designed that in this particular area, we're going to reserve it for these farms, we're going to reserve it for A, B, C, D, whatever you have identified, and therefore what kind of infrastructure do we need? So that by the time you call for investors, there's a clear plan. And kune-hardware everywhere andikahambi kakhulu apha uhamba nje york road istrato esikhulu kune-hardware. I'm making an example from Tata because it's my hometown, right? It happens even in other areas. Now, as you do that, you then say, we are aware that we have a Crickly dairy down the road that is going to need 50 farmers that produce so many hectares of whatever produce that they need. Okay, it's not only that, because I assume they also process, as I listen to the presentation, they also need people who must be involved in beef and beef farming and other things. But how do we then make sure that this value chain and supply chain is unbundled and it gives space to other entrants? And this is where I come in. As we do that, of course, we identify as the municipality, knowing very well what is the potential of the area. And now when we develop our strategy, we are able to go to the province to say, this is our LED strategy. We're going to national to say, Department, Trade, Industry and Corporation, Department, Small Business Development, Department of Energy, and all the other departments. When you come to our area, these are the focus areas, not national coming to tell what is it that we're doing at a local level. It is okay when we're looking at scaling up what exists. It is okay when we say there isn't much research that has been done by the agencies or the research institutions in a particular province, and in our studies, this is what we have discovered. And therefore, probably, we're going to put a seed in that. But if the municipality does not have an appreciation of that, even that investment that we'll make will not really yield us good results. That's why I emphasize, Mayor, the importance of the understanding and investing in local economic development by a municipality and its leadership. And it doesn't mean that you are going to do this by yourselves alone as the council. You have institutions of higher learning, you have other people that you can partner with, because we still talk about the issue of building a capable state, and it is a reality. It is a reality that today we're sitting here and AG has released the results of the audit findings, and we're doing badly. Embarrassingly so. Now, in all of this great potential that we're talking about, and these alignment that I spoke about, it has to be matched with the capability, not capacity. The capability. We have many employees here. Many employees that are working for government, even at local government, but the streets are still dirty. And the audits come out the way they are. That talks to now the capability of the individuals that are occupying those positions. We're not asking about your papers only, but the know-how. Do you understand what is required? And it is only then that we'll be able to move the needle towards the economic growth that we desire when we know, not arrogantly so, when we prepare to learn and be able to say, why did we have what we saw in the Enoch Mgijima Stadium? I'm talking about topical issues. Have we managed to own up and explain? At times it doesn't mean it is wrong. Because again, we make assumptions that because numbers are high, it means there was corruption. At times there's no corruption, but there's lots of work that needed to be done. But somebody should be able to say, why uStella kufuneka abhatalwe 100,000? Because you do have to pay certain people those amounts. It goes with what they have, not in terms of material, but the knowledge and value that they can add to those areas. But if we are not able to explain those because we ourselves don't understand what is happening, then we'll end up being the people that everybody believes that we are. Not that at times we're not guilty of those things, but at times it's assumption-based. So, reaching out, colleagues, reaching out to the private sector shouldn't be seen as capture only. You know, I think I, for one, Mlungu, I'll be happy if people are saying I'm captured. And that capture would translate to the development of my people and opening up doors. Because I have recognized the weakness that I have and brought somebody with strength, not at the expense of those that I serve, of course, but to utilize the capability and the strength to complement what I do not have. And this we have to learn. We have to learn to do. If the gentleman stood up here and said, we need more dairy farms, why are we still asking each other what we have lots of land? That's what you showed here. Then why aren't we sitting and taking a decision to say, we're going to engage if it's not belonging to someone, or if it belongs to you, stop being selfish too. Because there are people who just want to keep land that is not used, and then they sell it to people who do silly things. Why can't we convince people of what we would like to do and be partners with them in development? To say, bring your land, you become a shareholder, we bring A, B, C, D, because this is what you are looking at, and reduce those rezoning costs, Mayor. Our people are excluded because of those costs. That's why Mayor Zanga says, relooking again, the bylaws advocate many. Because we can't divorce these things. Earlier in the days before I was born, people were excluded in the economy, their land was taken, and all that was used was the legislation. Which means the legislation goes a long way. Now, if we're going to have business people who are shying away from the process of making laws, they're going to come back tomorrow and want to ban or saying we are disinvesting because they did not make it their responsibility to understand the laws of the area they operate in and expect us and our bureaucrats to understand everything about entrepreneurship. It can be. These bureaucrats are bureaucrats. All they know is the National Treasury Framework, the DPME framework. You want to do this, they say, hey, MFMA, hey, PFMA, hey, man. That time people are starving. Whilst it's well and good to understand those, but it shouldn't be at the expense of excluding our people. I want to re-emphasize. But if you have a business community that does not take interest in understanding all these frameworks and the legislations, that is able to participate in the process when we gather to say, government, we do note your intention of introducing this because you want to address ABCD, but if you take this route, this is the blind spot. Because you understand the space better that you operate in as business people. Accountants go to school to do what they do. They can't wake up and be entrepreneurs, but they will help entrepreneurs with a business plan, which is why so many businesses fail. It is the frameworks, right? Sorry that I said that. But it's a reality that we have all these great plans produced and all of that, but we are talking about high unemployment rate. We're talking about the lack of socio-economic impact on the ground. We're still talking here about the monies that we don't spend as the department responsible for small business development. But we have accountants that are producing business plans every day, and we are funding some of those business plans, but businesses are failing. What is wrong? The know-how, the understanding of the entire value and ecosystem. It is something that we ought to make it our responsibility. Not to only cling to this because this is what you know, but you should check how is this that you know will endanger the other component of the same supply and value chain. This is why we said we're going to partner with everyone that is in our ecosystem in order to make sure that we deal with the red tapes that when we introduced those legislations, we didn't know that there were red tapes. We didn't know that a farmer that is seated here, that has just bought a farm from whoever, that has lake in it, it cannot access, he or she cannot access the water that is there, because one does not have water rights or a license for that. And for that to happen, it means the person must go to the Department of Water, or a small business person who says, we want to do this, we want land minister, we don't want your money. But hey, the municipality and these bylaws and everything that they come with are really prohibiting us from doing that. The red tapes that many of you, when President Ramaphosa said he's appointing Mr. Ngosi as the red tapes, oh, Ramaphosa, uyaboyika abaphathiswa bakhe. Yintoni leyo ke kulo mntana ungusitela ngasamgxothi? Thinking that or believing that red tape can be dealt with by the Department of Small Business Development alone. Again, Mkaya, you know that's when you get to see you get to see the ignorance of the learned. Because how do you sit and believe that red tape can be dealt by a Department of Small Business Development that does not have a right over issuing licenses, that does not have a right over determining taxes and all of that? And somebody believes that, it's because I fail. And it's learned people that do that. How do we then blend this knowledge that we have, the academic knowledge that we have, with what happens on the ground realistically? Because all we can do when we take you to school is to provide you with a framework, which is a guide. How do we make sure that that framework works for the people without you only looking at being a paper pusher? I got clean audit. What difference has it made to an ordinary person? Did you make sure that you bring many business people on board? Did you make sure that you fund those that needed to be funded? Hayi imali ijikile iphinde uTreasury uyithathile. Hayibo. Kuzo yonke lento uAge akufumene uclean. Kuzo zonke into zelamaphepha uzenzileyo imali ijikile. Abantu abafumani imali abakwazi uqeshwa kodwa uzifumene zonke ezinhle. Clean audit and all the English that is spoken then ndilimbondo man. So we said the appointment of Mr. Nkosi will really help us deal with those red tapes to say, as the department that is responsible for leading and coordinating the promotion of small business development, Okwethu is to sit down with the different sectors, understand the challenges, the opportunities, and where there are gaps. And we bring those to Mr. Nkosi, those that are beyond our mandate, to say, Mr. Nkosi, there's the need for water affairs to look at ABCD. There's the need for the Department of Tourism to, at least, if they're not going to subsidize the small businesses that wants to be travel agencies, for example. You know, Baba charge 1 million rand. For you to be a travel agent, funeka ubhatale iyata 1 million rand. South Africa lena ne. Uthetha ngabantu bangenayo ne-10,000 ngoku ndithetha nani bagqiba ukwamkela ebhankeni. Sithi mababa zii-entrepreneurs, but we introduce such. This is when you begin to see the contradictions that exist in the same state. That's why now the appointment of Mr. Nkosi seeks to help us on that, to say there are these challenges first in government, whilst we engage with the private sector that at times wants to invest, that fails to comply with the BEE, that fails to comply with the ESD and all other things that they're supposed to invest in the locals, because at times we also have red tapes. They are saying, Minister, we have 500 million rands to spend. We can't spend because 1, 2, 3. Yes, it's a reality. As we go around engaging both big businesses and small businesses. reality is that people nabo baya complain, they are not meeting their targets, therefore they're not able to get certain incentives because of the red tapes that exist. So Mr. Ngosi, ours is to identify, to say from DTIC, let's look at this, from SARS and everyone else that is involved, let's relook how we do things. The same way we do to incentivize big businesses, there's a need to incentivize small businesses because they have to create jobs. So when I listened here to the presentation that says, xa kune-load shedding, mayingashedi IDZs, very few SEZs and IDZs accommodate small businesses. I was like, nabo ke kothethelwa big businesses. Kodwa bahlala ne-small businesses apha bazicharge into ezinkulu every day. They don't talk about exemptions. Ngifuna balance, man. That's all I'm asking for. I want balance. So as we talk about all these great things, there's a need to review. But at the center of reviewing what exists is understanding the portfolio. Whether you are on roads, ngoba kufuneka understand xa uzokhupha itender yendlela, what are the components in the value and supply chain? A tendency once more, ekhona, kuba when you consider small businesses, consider when there's labor intensive work that needs to be done at the end of the value chain. Maso ukhupha itender yokwenza indlela, maba subcontract with 30%. There's a contradiction again there. And the contradiction, so Dolop, where are the MMs, CFOs, as you look at your procurement policies and plans? How do you begin to say you are satisfied with 30%? Yes, it's a policy, I'm part of this government. How do you begin to be comfortable with 30% investment in your own area and 70% leaves Chris area, and you expect these people to pay for rates? You don't want to complain ukuthi laba bantu abakwazi support businesses because basupporta njani bephila ngendodla. All you think is important for them, they must get 30 rand out of the 100 rands that you have. You take 15 years, 20 years in government, 28 years, and still in Chris, you are able to say we don't have companies, there's no grade 9. Haibo. Kanti sinivotelelani? Nina's managers in Kashala, if you fail to develop the businesses of the areas that you are hired in. Because we do understand that because people are excluded in the economy. But you can't take iminyaka emingaka, kufuneka xa ufuna grade 9 uhambe uye kwenye indawo engazoyibiza. The next thing you complain, Eastern Cape does not develop. Eba West laba bahlala eGoli. Eastern Cape fail. Bafika bazothatha tenders long xesha. And nalapha nithi abantu base Eastern Cape bavotayo every day banifake in office. They are not good enough for money. They're just good enough to go and vote. Hayibo. Lizamki ilizwe eli. Endicinga afanele kuyadlaliswa. Lizomka ilizwe, we are appreciative of the fact that iKrisani does not exist ngokwayo kwi-island. It's part of Eastern Cape as much as part of South Africa, and therefore we're going to work together in ensuring that we provide services, but don't deprive the people who put you into power. Now, as I talk about that, another speaker said, "Wonke umuntu nokudla." As you go to eat, whether it's fancy meal or whatever meal that you eat, you should ask yourself, how have I contributed towards job creation? Is it proper that everything that comes has to be processed from outside? Nenyama le yenkomo, nenkomo nonke apha Eastern Cape nixhela every day. That it can be processed. If you go to like the likes of Tiger Brands and others, uyababuza no Woolworths, zingaphi endizithenge Eastern Cape? Yo, Minister kuyadura ukuthenga Eastern Cape. I-logistics hayi kuthiwa yi-nightmare. Zindlela zethu sodolophu. I get we are here about investment. So njengoba nizobabiza ndifuna ndijonge ezinto endizithethayo. Abazuza endleleni nee-potholes zingange lwandle lase-Coffee Bay. Because they also looking at profits that they must make. And they looking at a way of doing business easily in a manner that does not only make you happy by the fact that they're going to create jobs for you, but they must also make sure that they expand their businesses. Now, if they have to spend lots of money fixing their cars, because indlela sikwazi uzenza, what is that called? Abazuza uzo invest. Therefore, as we call for investors, mayors, and MMs that are here, the first thing is to provide leadership. Leadership means that ingaphinde yenzeke le ithethwa ngu-AG, it's embarrassing. Investors want a stable environment. They want a municipality with proper systems that we can take accountability for everything that we spend on. They want a community that understands that it is not a favor that investors come here, but they are partners. But if you think nibenzela ifavor ngoba nibanika umhlaba la andibadingi ningavuka kusasa nibatshisele, hey, bayafuna kwezinye indawo. At the center of it, as Zanga was saying, they want to make sure that at least the ease of doing business is really easy, which means you shouldn't be taking too long to process certain licenses. The people who want to deploy fiber, they can't because municipalities take too long to just award waylifts. There's too much digging, you don't even understand that. It gives, hey, Halbazan, free Wi-Fi. You don't even understand that. You give Wi-Fi compound. But the era that we live in, we need currency data to an important component. Therefore, as you allow them to the era that we live in, all the free currency is data. Therefore, as you allow them to bring all the free Wi-Fi, where's the data going to? Where's the data center that is happening? And this is about the economic development, understanding. What are the critical drivers of the economy? Not only what we see, just like the quarries that we have or the mines, but that we can see, but sithetha ngayo yonke imihla. Uyazi ba intoni yenza umamela iTV, uyazi ba intoni yenza uhlale kuZoom, uyazi ba airtime qha. Uba xa kusithiwa hey hayi ke Spectrum sikhutshiwe, intoni Spectrum, hayi ke ngoba aqalile. Uva nje ke? You don't understand when they say, now that Spectrum has been awarded, it means South Africa's economy is going to turn around. They never tell you how. Now it becomes your responsibility, bureaucrats. And I emphasize, it becomes your responsibility to understand how is the fourth industrial revolution going to impact on our people and the economy that we are driving here. Looking at what we have, that farmer that is sitting there, that mine that we have, the agricultural common that we're talking about, how do we utilize and be able to bring all of these technologies to advance the work that we do as Sinangama farmer and a wine ahleli up? How do we make sure that we're able to sell to other people outside Ekomani, outside Eastern Cape, outside South Africa? Understanding the battle that we are faced with. But those that came before us, of course, they mastered it. As I said, they understood ukuthi abantu bethu are deprived human rights, they are exploited, their land is taken, their resources, mineral resources, and everything else. And then they made it their responsibility to understand how to beat the system. Bayofunda bangamagqwetha. Because it was the law that was ruling supreme. They analyzed the law. They sat down and say, hey, le system inji. And therefore the best thing that we need to do is to start by providing free service to those abadinga the legal representation. And they did it successfully. But the bachata smart. Yes, they were also beautiful. But Chata Smart, to an extent that they looked at the challenges that they were going through to say, there's a need, abanye jemba be victimized, abanye kofuna ba police wingqondo, bafumane counseling. Get a social worker. Get a teacher to impart knowledge, because abantu mabeshiya amakhaya besezinkampini, they need knowledge. Uba sithemba sinethemba bazawubuya bazophatha ilizwe. They produce scientists. They produced good negotiators. And all of those, they knew because they are preparing themselves to govern. now we are here, things have changed. It's not about that political freedom, because we have. Now what we are looking at is us delivering economic freedom, as we said proudly so in 2011. Economic freedom in our lifetime. Yeke laba sebehamba nayo ingathi into yabo. But what does that mean? Okanye siyibethi slogan. Because again, if we talk about that, but we don't understand the ecosystem like those that came before us did, we're gonna miss out. This is why I want to emphasize the capability and the willingness to learn from those that know, including us as public servants, understanding that we're not here for us. Therefore, when we develop frameworks and all the learned things, they shouldn't be talking to us. Hey, nikene izibona incwadi eziproducewayo. Xa ufuna incwadi yakwamasipala, ifika ingaka, andisathi xa uya kumesifa ke uyofuna imali. Inezingezi ezininzi endingazi uba umfama ongazange aye esikolweni ozazela ukulima uzosazela apha esi singesi ukuze a-aplayele le mali sithi makayinikwe. There's something wrong there in the bureaucrats that we have and the realities that we are faced with in South Africa. So there's a need for a mind shift from all of us as elected representatives, as employed, and as the consumers and voters that we are. To understand first as voters that we're not entitled to anything. Ngoba amalungelo ethu lapha eSouth Africa ayalingana. So xa ucimba entitled nami ndicinga entitled. Awalapha ayalingana. But what we are owed is the best service by a government that we put in place. And the best service, it means our lives must change for the better. When they change for the better, we've got to accept that investors are going to come. Because asinayo again amandla okwenza yonke into. Is it 800 billion that we have, Mlungu? In the coffers, National Treasury? It's about a trillion, it's 800 billion. Where do we spend kule budget? The National Treasury. How many comes to our small businesses and black-owned? How are we going to balance this that the National Development Plan talks about, of getting these SMMEs to create these job opportunities, but at the same time, of ensuring that we meet what we have committed in the Freedom Charter to avoid what we saw last year. I want to emphasize this. We catch-up situation, manje. Asisena luxury, yohlala sicinga fana we can do as we please. Uba sizohlala lapha Queenstown silwe ngetenda yendlela eza once in 5 years, hey, vukani. Ilwani ngoku nangu AfriSempa. Ilwani ngekware, we've raised this with all the ministers that we work with, that the 30% allocation that goes to small businesses is not 30% that talks at the end of the value. We want 30% of every component. Ukuba ngaba indlela, kufuneka kube nabantu abanequarry abakuproduce concrete, abanye benza cement, abanye benza zonke zonto nizazi uba ziyafuneka endleleni. We want 30% of each. I guess still 30%. Because the more we get to confine our people, ukuba mabahambe bayokwenza indlela pha bazine civil engineering. Bahambe bayokwenza indlela pha kufuneka baphinde bayosource skills kwabanye abantu. And the resources bathi ngosibanike mani tender eziya ku 300 million worth mhlawumbi ye tender, they make 10 million because yonke imali iyahamba. And we're not developing businesses if we do that. So we need to balance what we introduce in government ngokwe tenders as the first access to capital. There's nothing wrong with tendering, but it's about how do we understand that, how do we utilize that capital that we have gained, ngelaa xesha besinikwe an opportunity to get the tender, invest in the business, niyeke le nto leqe emonti, nothenga izinto ezibhetele. So as siqala epleyitini yakho, amaqanda asuka phi? Yho, mna ndithanda i-breakfast in bed, mane nisitsho xa ndibhala kuFacebook, kodwa nivuka ngethi. So avela phi? Now, sinomama, sinotata who are involved in poultry farming. How do we make sure ukuthi njengoba ndiyotya endlini lamaqanda, have contributed kulaba mama that must create jobs. Because when we understand that, asinode siyothenga amaqanda kude, njengoba nisenza apha. Nishiya abamama bathengisa inkukhu. Nishiya yonke into ekhoyo apha niyothenga ezinye izinto. And you think the economy is going to grow. And you think jobs are going to be created. Kanjani? Inhliziyo yami ibuhlungu apha kuthiwa le wine eWhittlesea kulinywa i-grapes. Yazi la wine yayi-introduce ukuthi u-deputy president u-president esengu-deputy president base-Whittlesea baniyakhumbula. That was 2017 when we introduced to that. I was still a deputy minister myself. Is it 5 years now? Imada kuphela ithemba. Sisathetha ngoba kukaprocesswa apha. Sisathatha ezi grapes zithumele eKapa. Funa zibuye eKapa ke sezenziwe yonke into. We've lost on processing nebhoti lezenziwayo on packaging and everything. Then sizozithengisa ngoba apha we are good for consumption as people of the Eastern Cape. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing because at times we fail to leverage on potential partnerships that we can build. But if we come together to say, ngoba siyayazi population yalapha, eChris Hani is dominated by abantu abatsha, abanye bafundile kubo kakhulu. We have TVET colleges, abayile kuzo abahlela amakhaya abanye bayasebenza. We have lots of people who are entrepreneurial in nature but do not get support. How do we then join hands and say, nazi, singabi all over? CEO, Development Agency. You know, you list so many things there. I'm happy. But the problem, your list has zonke izinto. Awuzuzigqiba. Right that sithetha with potential that we have. But ke ngusifuna focus up in this particular period. You take 3 or 4 to say these are the areas that I'll focus on, and therefore everyone who comes to invest must in a pointed and deliberate call for investment can change how we do things. Because zonke resources, whether zisuka kumvoko advocate, or zisuka kuStella, or zisuka kuPraveen, and whoever, instead is busy and again no departments, these again was coordinated to say umasipala unale plan. And when umasipala does that, we address the issue of unemployment, it contributes also to the economy. And this is what we want. But sifika singazukuti hayi ke thina sifa sizofunda fishing. Bathatha abantu balapha fishing. But because kunomuntu oze ne-business plan eyenziweyo ibisebenza ngapha eBhayi. Yathathwa yenye consultant ayisesifa bayijonge sifa into abasayijonga noba i-operate aphi bayijonge into yoba hayi manyas meet requirements masifake imali. 2 twos, it dies, project. Or the kind of support that we provide that is insufficient again, because we are not coordinated, because the municipality can go up to a particular level, the province, ECDC, and everyone can go to a particular level. But if we are saying just 2 big projects, then focus and these are the resources that we need. Therefore, we pull in all partners. Asishereni, ukuba ngaba kufuneka 30 million njembumeya beze a city we funded 20 million out of the 30 million they requested. Inye 10 million ingavelaphi to make sure that ESA structure serve the purpose that it was meant to serve. And therefore, all no business that are here, or need the equipment, we have to put simpiwe bathi thina singu-old mutual noban, sizofaka 10 rand, afika omnyathi thina khuphi 5 rand, the other one says we're going to provide you with skill to run this. It's possible and doable if we are clear on our plans and reach out to partners. The cooperative that spoke here, we do have some support for cooperatives, but there's a strange thing again, I still need to be educated, that we do not fund alcohol. But listen to this, we fund a spa, a franchisor in the tops. God, we don't fund alcohol. We fund a restaurant that will sell wine, but we don't fund alcohol. And alcohol is business. I don't know why would we want to really punish farmer alimi grape yawo. City, there's a need indeed for distillery and all the other things that are needed so that abantu bahlale because what is wrong about alcohol? I'm told it's abuse and you but good why it's abuse, but I've seen people generating income out of that. I'm looking at the value chain that can help me create jobs. Because my focus is on creating jobs. As much as I have a responsibility to ensure that asizidali noba kanjani jobs, of course, the Minister of Health was an imithetho yakhe ayifakele. Mine is to make sure that we give access to those people. So we are relooking that to say what best ways singeza nazo nani ningakhe nincedise ke to add your voice ekubeni how does it impact on you that urhulumente angafuni ufunda. It's a business initiative and a good one. We also have the manufacturing support program wherein we are supporting abantu abamanufacturayo at a smaller scale. Nimvile umphathiswa Patel talking about localization and President Ramaphosa ngokuba sikhule kune-factory ezindaweni esihlala kuzo. This area was big also on automotive supplies, the components. We need to revive those, the things that we know that can help sustain our economy. Ngoba besenisithi uba xa uSuzuki elapha funeka sibone uba thina simncedisa ngantoni. So there we're offering imali zethu for now. As they under particular schemes, they talk up to 15 million rands for now. And when you go for a pure loan on the wholesale, we go up to 150 million rands. Kunesingesi esininzi ke siyasithetha kuthiwa siyafunwa kodwa sisikhuphile esiya sithi uba ublacklistiwe. Ngoba Nkosi yami aniwathanda amatyala ni blacklistwe nonke. Esiya sithi khuphu u10%, ayasinayo u10% shem because siyayazi niyasihluphekela and sifuna nincedise thina ucreate amathuba. What is important now is your great idea, because out of ideation we're able to come up with products. So we want to walk the path with you from that level up to the last angle. That is what the development part of the department is about. When we decline your application, your funding, we want to be able to say we are declining your application because. We don't want to say we decline, that it ends there. We are declining it because. Then you take the because, you go to CEDA and everybody else that might assist you to meet the requirement, because ours is to develop small businesses. That's our mandate. If we fail to do that, then it means we must pack and go home. We have allocated 1 billion rands for this year for township and rural enterprise program. Again, kungene ezitratweni ezilokishini abantu abenze indlela lapho abana opportunity because they can't afford equipment eduru nentonto. That's why sithe masibeke imali for now isencinci sifuna ukuyonyusa. That's why we are also in the meantime collaborating with IDC and other DFIs that are there. We do provide infrastructure, as the mayor mentioned here. We have set aside 230 million rands to make sure that we assist here and there. But at the center of all of this, Mayor, as I'm highlighting these things that will talk to the potential investors that will invite, what is important is you to crystallize your investment book. Where do you want to focus on? And as I said, that is accompanied by good leadership. Good leadership. When people put money, they want accountability. They want accountability. Lendo yenzekala is unfunded budgets. It can't continue, comrades, colleagues. It just can't continue. That every day we have people who come to work and they do whatever that they do, but there's no impact. Ungakundibuze nje uba sibabhatalela ntoni abantu sibabhatalela phaa eXhorha. Kumdaka, ii-buildings zimdaka. Sinabantu abasebenzela umasipala. Officials, sine councillors ezenza umthetho, because uzubuza councillors ngoba umdaka, but when leadership calls, you enforce whatever consequences to your bureaucrats. Sinabantu proudly so municipal manager, umasipala akacomply, akakwazi usi-services ebantwini. And then we want investors to come. Hayibo, ayikho loo nto. Ngaphandle basifuna i-rhetoric, yabona rhetoric ithi, thina we support small businesses, thina we do this and that. Whilst to know that you don't support small businesses. You want to support the few individuals who's just using the name of small businesses. You concentrate the economy to the ones that you like because they're gonna give you 10%. And this is why our economy has not grown. That talks to the ethics of leadership now and the bureaucracy, because there's this tendency of wanting to say corruption in a gamma. igama layo ke ngalaba bonyuliweyo. Azange ndibone nomnye uceba njengam ndiyazange ndazibona ndihlala kwi-Bid Adjudication Committee. Kunabantu abahlala phaa. Uba ndime okunika umthetho wrong, utheni ungayiripoti xa uloyal to the country? Ngaphandle uba nawe ungumguvela. Uba ungumguvela kaloku uzayiripote, kunemithetho kweli lizwe. And all bureaucrats are protected in this country. But interventions sizozenza. There's difference, right? There's difference between interference and intervention. Just like usenzeka apha eMthatha, yabona apha eMthatha kune-youth day ngomso. Ama-service provider ayakhalaza lokhala athi awanikwanga mali. I mean awanikwanga msebenzi. It's my responsibility to call Minister Mthethwa, hey Minister, you can't. You can't do that. But guess what? Again, it goes back to us, not only as officials and small businesses, because now I get embarrassed when I get to talk to the DG, the minister, as the DG, because I want everybody to explain why are we excluding small businesses, especially those that are local. I get the other contracted small business, because of frustrations of being excluded in the procurement, decided to drop the price and go back to zero. Ufuna umsebenzi. Swana to you. Akiri ndibabhatala sichocho koko. Ufuna umsebenzi because excluded. Have you ever seen any national event that is about 1.7 million? Yes, and he goes down. Because it's like, I have everything, but this government is continuously excluding me. Now, if I'm to challenge my right in this government, I can drop in boning bandlom to zozomanamap. Because most of the small businesses, bayat sosa kwa banyaban. He takes it down, he gets the tender, and he's going to provide his own things. Because akom duzo kwa zuze sintende yabantu by 5,122,000. Because also small businesses at times they rip off people, government. He puts those prices there. Now he has to subcontract. He subcontracts on catering and all the other things, but it's like furniture and the tents I have, and there is no profit. Our small businesses there, because again, our officials, they can be very arrogant when it suits them. Sinixelele intent izasuka national as compromise. And everybody looks at us as if we go and say those things around. Instead of explaining that when we called for whatever, then umuntu osimfumeneyo cheap at this level, looking at saving government, which does not work for me if it excludes my SMMS. Looking at saving government's money and also ensuring that we have a successful event, nazi izinto lo muntu azanazo. So if you are able to pay the price, come. Now, as I look at the detail, I had to go to that detail. As I look at the price amanzi, I'm like, yo, banozo supply amanzi nge-5 rand. Amanzi apha charge 20 rand and ndiyazi namba kuthini. Kodwa xa urhulumente amanzi 20 rand. Now we have that chaos that can really expose and mess up that event. And this is when our officials will intervene. That's the point I wanted to try for. This is when we intervene, because if we make policies and we say there's a need for us to have an LED, which is our own policy, there's a need for us to invest in small businesses as we agree, as policymakers, then officials must find ways of ensuring that the environment is conducive. Because we're not only exploiting the small business that has been given a tender that had to drop every price, but we're also excluding others in the process. But because people are frustrated, they must go for the cheapest rate. Ngiyacela labo abaya kula nhlangano ya kwi-policy conference, and those that have made contributions, if you did, in the procurement bill, kaniyijonge nalento ye-cheapest quote. You continue to exclude small businesses, but at the same time, you believe that you're going to grow the economy and jobs are going to grow. You make people to compete with people who have everything, and therefore, because they are bigger, they're able to get discounts njengoba sibona kwi-grocery nespaza shops. Nani small businesses, we have a responsibility of learning to work together. Because xa nisebenza nonke niyakwazi uyothenga nonke, and therefore you're able to negotiate for discounts. Amanye ukhalaza abe hey iziphaza ziphethwe ngaba. Uthenga bani iziphaza kuthenga nini? But if you identify that as a business opportunity, ukuthi indeed esiphaza nasesalon kunemali eyenzekayo, then it means invest in it. Even if abakho abantwana bafuna uba zii-hairdressers, let's make sure that ukuthi apha ndibonile abantu apha bafake iinwele ezintle. Baflekile kunentontoni endizibonayo, which means there's a market. Uba ngaba uzawuthatha some young boys and girls uthi mazihambe siyozitreyina ukuba mazikwazi ukwenza ifiber. SEDA comes and help them with the business skills. Another person comes and give them finance to buy equipment. Bazokwenza ifiber bathengisela abantwana balapha. These are things that I hear without you going to Gauteng like uZahara. These things that starts from your plate of food, itapile, xa uthanda KFC, when KFC comes to open a mall in that you have given them access to, itapile is a fried, it's streetwise too. Ehamba chips, where do they come from? And this is how we shape the LED strategy. This is how we shape the LED strategy to say which areas are we going to identify. And therefore, as we call for investors, mazize zizofaka, but what is going to be left as an investment to our people? It gives me pleasure to say we are fully supporting this as the department, and we are definitely sure that we'll call upon other partners to join hands with us as long as we get a very good investment book. And as I said, you may not be able to do it on your own, but reach out to other people that must assist you. Indeed, this is the first first region for me in the Eastern Cape to attend an investment conference. I'm not sure if others have done so, but I want to applaud the leadership of Chris Hani District Municipality for seeing the need to align things and make a call to people to come and invest here. Whilst we brag about the beauty of Chris Hani, everything that it has, but we must also brag about the opportunities and the difference that we have made for our people during our term of office so that we can be remembered. Gone are the days that we must continue to sing praises for those that came before us, because it tells that we have failed to build or bring other heroes and heroines. And the heroes that we need today are those that must deliver economic freedom in our lifetime for our people in an inclusive way. As President Ramaphosa says, we aim to leave no one behind. Thank you so much, Program Director, and the ANC government loves you all.
And again and again and again, clapping. A good round of applause, the best you can. Thank you. We're still listening with great attention. And we're comforted from various sectors, various categories of businesses. As we look into the program, we are arriving to the last part of the program. But there is a homework to do. Between this pre-summit and the breakfast, if you are a business because you are in a structure, if I know relevance, activity that is happening, reconsider. I'm sure you've heard that. All the ideas are good, but when you go to the ground, you must find them working. That was all about this today's activity. But then, without taking much, because I'm going to call the chairperson of the board, I want to appreciate the listeners out there who were part of the summit, and appreciate the audience and the capability of assisted me to show. Without you, I would have been able to drive this program to this end. And together we've affirmed that Chris Hani District has got leadership with a direction. And together we're able to affirm that the business here, they wish to continue with business. And we're able to say together that whoever wants to come and invest must come and invest. It's still important that you know that as the agency, we're not interested only to be there where we are, but we're interested to be where you are if you are in business. Whoever wants to invest here, you commercial, you are welcome, you SME, you are welcome, and we want to grow with you. I'm therefore calling upon the chairperson of the board, Advocate Andile Mini, the man who has been trusted by Chris Hani municipality to ensure that not only this occasion is taking place, but there is a sense and a change in mindset, and everyone is geared towards the economic growth of the Chris Hani. Let's give him a round of applause as he comes in. Thank you. He will be the last to speak. Thank you.
Thank you to you, Program Director. Mandi thathela ithuba sodolophu ndibhotise kuzo zonke izinxibamqhaga, izidwesha, izigubhuqa, nongxowayizali, boosomashishini abakhoyo phakathi kwethu, sibabhotise ngegama lomamba masilingane. Ladies and gentlemen, in a much more higher kind of note, allow me to express my deepest gratitude to the Minister of Small Businesses and Development, MEC Mvoko, who's still with us but joined in a virtual meeting, the mayors of our local municipalities that are here, of course as led by the executive mayor of the district. Msuthu funeka bayiqhele o mayor be locals ndoba xa bebizwa ngumayor we district funeka beze. Umayor we district yi district ayo local. Ngoku xa bebiza we district uza decide ba unalo nexesha okanye angathumela. But bona funeka beze. The special greetings to the mayor of the newly named Dr. A.B. Kuma local municipality. It's no longer Ingcobo, it's called the A.B. Kuma local municipality. And which I hope that also other municipalities will follow the suit. We cannot in the district go on with the names of our municipalities who don't carry any political meaning. Sakisizwe carries no political meaning. Emalahleni carries no political meaning. Intsika Hetu carries no political meaning. Inquba Yethemba carries no political meaning. And this is an indictment. Special greetings also to Reverend Mantini. Ngongo is a son of the soil. He originates from the dusty streets of Kakadu, the former Lady Frey. So he's one of us, he's a son of Chris Hani. Let's give him a round of applause. I saw the chief was here. Zweli Vumile. I will Kashalani Mahanugandin. Zweli Vumile. Yeah, to AR boards who also have graced this occasion and made sure that this occasion becomes a success by also making sure that there is catering for breakfast. Thank you very much, my brother. Colleagues, we have heard Crickle Dairy here speaking and saying that they are calling to all local farmers and cooperatives that are here that they are a dairy production, but they say they are calling on all of you to make sure that you produce milk so that that milk can form part of the production. And I heard also other colleagues, they're saying that they want to be part of the value chain. And I agree. Let's all be part of the value chain, but let us start somewhere. Crickle Dairy, I know that they got a national contract from McDonald's. They are supplying cheese to McDonald's nationally. But how do we find a space in that value chain? Let us start from somewhere. And they say if there is a group of people who are producing 2,000 liters of milk, they will come immediately to buy it. So that's the thinking that we must start putting to ourselves. The Bodakai Chamber of Business, which minister is employing about 10,000 people, not future employment, not potential employment. We're talking about the actual employment in this particular area of Komani. And I think that deserves a round of applause. And this is a kind of a status quo that we want to tamper with. I'm happy the minister spoke about quite extensively about the need to tamper with the status quo. As I talk about the tampering of the status quo, Msutu, there was one family in my village here in Kala, kumakoti pha usanda ufika apha efemelini. So normally ke masixa kuhlalwa apha ekhaya umakoti xa kuhlele etafuleni xa kuthetha utatazala, you're not supposed to respond. So umakoti this day decided to raise up her hand. It's her first day in the dinner table. She raised the hand. So utatazala wazama avoid her because she does not know what this one is going to say. Ultimately, she decided to give her because the hand was persistent. Utfuna uthini mntanami khawuthethe? Uthi umakoti hayi mna ndikho nto ezininzi zayithetha. Bendifuna nje unixelele into yoba njengoba ndifikile akho nto izawutshintsha. Obekade evuka ekuseni ahlamba izitya uzazihlamba. Obekade evuka ekuseni enzitya uzawuyenza mna ndikhona nje uzogcwalisa inani. So there was a great display of a non-interest of tampering with the status quo. And that's not what we want. We want people to tamper with the status quo. Our duty is to leaven the playing field and make sure that we create a conducive environment for the industry partners. As we proceed towards the investment conference, I want people to start thinking that we have got a 25-year lifetime span of a coal belt in our region. What does that mean to a young entrepreneur in this particular region? We cannot all be coal entrepreneurs, but we should commission institutions like CSIR to make sure that they come and tell us what can we get out of coal so that our own entrepreneurs can start lining themselves in the value chain. And we know that the coal can produce, can do cement production, fibers, medicine, tars, synthetic petroleum-based fuel, and many other things. And also that includes your traditional use of coal for heating the families and other things. So those are the things that we should start thinking about, rather than all of us applying for prospective rights, prospecting rights, and also applying for mining rights. When those people have received those mining rights, who are they going to sell that coal to? And how to align ourselves into the value chain? There is a great deal of granite mining. And one of the young entrepreneurs in that space, minister, is here. Can you just stand up, Mr. Mvela, so that they see you? He owns a lot of quarries in the Eastern Cape. He creates a lot of employment. And all of us must start thinking in that value chain, that is, how to align ourselves. Because there is logistics involved there. We cannot all go there, but let's think about being part of the value chain. Let's start buying trucks and make sure that we approach him to say, I'm sure you do need this in your value chain for the logistics. So that's a kind of thing that we want people to think about. The pillars of investment, as I'm summarizing all that is put there, would need a very strong public infrastructure investment. The minister, the MEC, and the executive, they've spoken quite extensively on the need to invest on your public infrastructure investment. The resource-driven industrialization, manufacturing, procurement patterns that need to be changed. And we need to be deliberate in terms of changing the procurement patterns. The regional economic integration, it is true that we must tamper with the status quo. The issue of 30% local investment, it cannot be a serious stimulation to our regional economic integration. So we must look at those things. The issue of energy, the energy is a serious issue in this particular region. Now, we must think about the ways to make that kind of energy that we have sustainable. Alternatively, we must look at alternative energy generation. And we must be able to get information that those independent power producers sanctioned by the national government, do they cover this particular area? And if they do not, let us sit down and look at the ways of invoking the IPVs so that we make sure that our industries, to stimulate economy, they are kept alive. The issue of SEZ, and industrial park as well articulated by our honorable MEC. Colleagues, our aim is to tamper with the status quo. We are not going to conform with what we have. We are going to tamper with the status quo. If we grow to a level that we meet all the requirements to become SEZ, we are not going to stop it to become SEZ because government has not thought of such. We are going to become SEZ. It is so, Minister, that you cannot deny. The future says if a young lady grows up, when she has grown up to a certain stage, she will eventually become a woman. And that you cannot deny. And that's a kind of inculcation we want to have. Let us grow and grow and grow. Once we meet all those requirements, we'll go back again and knock to the minister and say, now that we have met these requirements, what do you think of that thought that we had initially? So we will keep on growing. As I'm about to conclude, I want you to ask yourself 3 critical questions. And these questions, I'm not the one who's going to answer, but I want your conscience to respond to these questions. If God tomorrow can remove you from this society, will this society experience a loss or it will remain the same? If it remains the same, it means there is no difference between your absence and your presence. Now, I want you to ask yourself that question so that we can quite respond to it frank and honest. As an industrialist, entrepreneur, and a business person, if you could be removed from that area of space that you're in, would you leave a legacy or a vacancy? And the answer to that question lies in your conscience. I wanted to ask the third question, and if I would have asked this question, I would want to give a bit of an answer, but I don't want to ask this question. And this question says, if I was to ask it, what stops us? What stops us as this community from changing the trade patterns? Why is it still the case after 27 years in the dawn of democracy that those who are learned must cross the Orange River, must cross Aberdeen towards Western Cape in seeking for greener pastures? And I said, I don't have an answer to this question. Colleagues, as we are coming to the conclusion of this occasion, we will again converge on the 13th and 14th of July to proceed with an investment summit as we've gathered all of you to be here today. The Premier of the Eastern Cape has also committed that she is going to form part of it, together with the relevant MECs. The Minister of Small Business and Development, she's coming back again on the 13th and 14th. Let's give a round of applause. The Minister of Finance, Minister Kodongwana, is also going to be here. He told us, Minister, that he will be flying straight from Indonesia, land in that morning, and he will proceed to the investment conference. So it's going to be a quite fatty program, which I want all of you to gear yourselves for the investment conference. I did say to the industrialists that I spoke to them this morning that I am almost certain that we are going to have a stampede. And we did have a stampede because it's a level of response that we got from our people, and to the extent in which they have received this and they understand the importance of this. As I'm now concluding, I'm going to invite the executive mayor, the minister, and MEC Mvoko, if he's here, for the launch of the website, which must be launched by the honorable minister. You did so much that we have got a website. As they are coming, I want to say to you, a man of wealth is envied, a man of power is feared, but only you of character, you are trusted. And that's a kind of industrialist that we want to bring. We are creating an industry of Chris Hani with Chris Hani characteristics. I thank you. over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Chairperson of the board. Whilst those who are more clued up in terms of flighting the website, I think for me it's just to indicate indeed and agree that the interest in terms of both this breakfast and the investment summit itself is growing on a daily basis. Some of us who have been bombarded with questions as to how one can get an invite and so on. And my response has been that we have developed a website specifically for the summit. And part of what is in the website itself is where one can then register one's interest in order to participate in the summit. And we have also related to colleagues who have been asking us questions to say part of what we'll be doing in the breakfast today is to formally launch the website, but also relate to those who are present and those who are watching via the other platform. What then is the website address, so that colleagues can then visit the website address, view the information that is packaged in terms of the content, but also in terms of the interest, attend to issues of registration. So we are then, as part of what we are doing, as the chairperson has said, are formally launching the website. Of course, the minister will speak in a moment, but we are expecting to also relate to yourselves the website address so that colleagues can then take note and relate the information to others who may have interest but are not necessarily here, as part of encouraging yourselves to visit the website on a daily basis and actually be updated on a daily basis in terms of what would then happen as we are marching forward to the Economic Development and Investment Summit. Thank you so much. Over to you, Minister.
Thank you so much, Sodolopo. You do see there on the screen, I said earlier on, it's important that we forge partnerships. But for you or for people to know that you exist, you need to have a footprint. Therefore, in the era that we're operating in, there's a need for Chris Hani to have a digital footprint if it is to attract investors that are not coming from the Eastern Cape, although we're not excluding those that come from the Eastern Cape that can walk in these offices. Therefore, the municipality, as the mayor has explained, have developed that website. Nivile ke kuthiwa ithi www, right? World Wide Web, www dot ch chdinvestmentsummit.org.za, www.chdinvestmentsummit.org.za. Chris Hani has not forgotten that every cent spent on that website must come to the South African coffers, because many of you like taking our money to America on the dot-coms. But now they're teaching you the economics of the internet. This is important, as you see on the information. If you look at a website, you know that you're looking at a particular field that you would like to have, because they will not be there to tell the story. And if you look at the website, it has identified critical things. If you go out on, let's start at home, it gives you on home, that's the footage that goes there. But if you go on About Us, it gets to tell the story of Chris Hani and what it intends to do. So good work that has been done by those that developed the website, because there's certain information that a visitor to your website needs to look at on the clicks, if they need to click. And if you look at, again, if you look at the contact us, wherein everybody who takes interest on saying they want to register for the summit. It has a form there that you fill in. Very simple information. Go to contact us, please. Yes, go down on the form. Yes. You fill in, it's very simple information that is required. You are accepted if you don't come from an organization, although it says your organization. If you're an individual, you can give that. Don't be scared because it says organization. Because other people, they own their companies as individuals, they would like to invest. So you're allowed to do that. But at the center of it, this is the way of the municipality ensuring that it takes Krizani to the world. And when it takes Krizani to the world, at the same time, it brings the world to Krizani. And therefore, we do declare that website, www.chdinvestmentsummit.org.za, launched as we speak. Feel free to register and be part of the summit. Thank you so much. Let me see. All right. I get paid to talk. The developers, make sure that we link our social media pages so that we can enable people. We create a hashtag so that we can create a vibe and people can be able to follow us because not everyone is a website person. Social media is ease of access on the digital communication. Thank you.
Colleagues, with all powers vested in me, by virtue of my position as the chair of Krisane Development Agency, I declare this gathering as officially adjourned. Thank you very much.